Okay, it's recording.
Ah!
I'm so behind, dude.
On what?
On taking notes, freaking figuring out what the score is. I think by episode 20, I'll just reveal whatever the score is, and then we'll go from there.
Good.
Oh, hey, I'm being recorded. I probably should hit this got it thing, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, let people know. Do you know the IRS doesn't like it when you record phone calls when you're talking to them?
But they can record phone calls to you.
Oh, absolutely.
That's fucking hilarious.
Pretty bullshit.
I
I guess Sierra called them and it was a fucking 30 to an hour long hold. I'm not gonna sit around for this. Google on the Google Pixels, they have a setting where you can they basically are on hold for you and they'll alert you when they get on, which is pretty nice. But it did that, and the IRS person was like, "Are you recording this call?" No, Google was letting us know when the call came in, because you can't record this call. It's not recording. Are you sure you're not recording? Jesus Christ, no. Because you have to let me know if you are. No.
The funny thing is, I think you only have to let them know that you're recording if you plan on using it in a court of law. So, I mean, technically, you could record it for your own personal use.
True. Very true.
But if you publish it or do anything like that, I think that's when you have to fucking tell them, like, hey, because well, long story short, I used to have to do that with doing child custody phone calls and stuff like that, because things would be said to somebody and then people would forget whatever, not, and then you have to go to court, and then you're like, you have to prove whatever they said, and then it's just a big old. Anyways.
Yeah, that sounds rough.
I don't wish that upon anybody.
No, not at all.
So before we begin, can I show you your gift, Mr. Maggard?
Oh, please. Are you going to take off your shirt?
Nope. That's not what it is. All right. Here you go.
Oh,
it's the Cajun
shit.
two-step.
What the hell? You know what the funny thing is? I saw him selling shirts the other day, and I'm like, I think I'm going to pick one up. And then I totally forgot about it.
Yeah. So next time I see you, I'll hand that over to you.
Thanks, sir. I'll make some burgers with it or something.
Oh, nice.
Or some jambalaya.
I was about to say, you gotta make burgers?
I don't know. I just want to throw
two-step.
Yeah, I just want to throw two-step on everything.
That's what it says. It could use it on everything. It says.
Put it there on some chicken. Put it on hot dogs. Fried bologna. Thanks, sir. Yeah, next time I see you, I'll have to take that from you. I'll probably take a direct sample because I want to know what the flavor is, like untouched by any meat. I'm just gonna put some in my hand and eat it like it's Lucas.
Nice. Yeah.
All right, everyone do their testing for the recording.
Testing is completed.
Oh, shit.
I'll do a real quick.
Test 1 2 1 2.
Yo.
And then everyone's phone is on silent.
Hey, what's the program that Josh uses to is he still using Audacity to combine all our stuff, or is he using a different program? Because I don't know, I can't hear anything when I listen to my playback. Like, I don't hear the background noise, I don't hear you guys, I don't hear nothing. Are you licking your microphone?
I don't know what he uses.
Okay.
He never told me. My guess is Audacity.
All right. But one of these nights when he comes back over, we'll fucking figure out some stuff.
I'll be hanging out with him on Friday.
Oh shit! I think we have the boys' games on Friday. I don't know.
I was told that the boys' games has been canceled because of COVID.
I think someone got COVID on their team.
Yeah. At least that's what Rachel was telling me.
No, I remember now. Damn, I mean, I don't think I have practice with them tomorrow.
Oh.
I do have easy practice though, but I don't have to drop off Roseville. All right, we'll figure something out.
Okay.
I gotta clean this goddamn room too. All these damn board games. I have to find room for. And then
I'm gonna send a picture your way.
Ooh.
Don't look at it until we get to my topic.
okay. Is it a nude?
Don't look at it until we get to the topic.
Are you going first too, or
I mean, it makes sense. That way I can get mine out of the way and then y'all can roll on through to all your stuff.
yeah? Well, the
Oh.
only reason why I wanted to combine our Taylor kind of wanted to talk about like a certain part, and then but I wanted to talk about like the overall experience and things that we did there, but I just didn't want to like overstep our time because there was a lot of stuff that we did. Matter of fact, give me like 2 seconds.
Also, I just put the picture in my message and I'll push send when the time comes. So
Okay, hold on.
Okay, hold on.
holding.
I'm exhausted. Did like 35 minutes at the gym and then 2 hours of kickball practice. And so I'm just like,
Ooh,
my body. And then I pulled some hamstring muscle and I was like, that hurt after I kicked. It was like a Charlie horse.
ooh, that's
Mine
rough.
is the Charlie.
No, Charlie. Which reminds me, we could talk about it on the thing if you want. But do you see what Netflix did? They now have the rights to all of Roald Dahl. You know who Roald Dahl is?
Is that
Real
the one
quick.
with like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Charlie and Chocolate Factory,
Matilda?
Matilda, James and the Giant Peach,
Ooh.
The Witches, BFG, all those.
Yeah.
Netflix now has the rights to make whatever they want of that.
Right.
So
To
expect
make whatever they want or just like replay the old films?
they have the rights to the material, so they can
Okay.
create whatever they want.
Interesting.
Make a new interpretation of Willy Wonka or some shit. A
Yeah.
new Matilda. They're actually already working on a new Matilda, so that worked out nice.
I like the James and the Giant Peach. It was like I don't know, an interesting film. I don't know how to put it, but I really enjoyed it as a kid when I was younger. So
Well, I was a big fan of James the Giant Peach.
yeah,
I feel like the claymation stands up pretty well nowadays.
yeah,
Guaranteed though, Netflix is gonna like CGI the shit out of that
yeah.
new version.
It costs too much money to make claymation.
No respect for
Yeah,
art.
exactly. Like the Kubo and the two strings.
Yes, that
That
was
was
a good movie.
another.
I really like Kubo.
Thing.
It was weird, but it was good. It's also all those like, was that Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs? They do their
Yeah.
like claymation thing. It's always weird.
Wallace and Gromit.
Ah, good old Wallace and Gromit.
Was Gumby claymation?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Damn, we're taking it back.
We're going far back.
Oh,
Let's go obscure. We got the box trolls. Remember the box trolls?
I do not.
Good, because we went obscure. You should
Yeah,
know.
we did. So obscure.
Obscure is those raisins on the movie theater commercial about telling go get some soda and snacks from the fucking.
Was that claymation?
Get your references right.
What
The
the-
raisins were the California raisins.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And for the movies, it was a soda, a popcorn, and a candy.
Something like that. I just remember them being like super old.
So all go to the movies.
Yeah,
Let's all go to the movies. Yeah.
That's getting dangerous. Blues Clues. So.
Oh, good old Blues Clues.
Anyways, I'm ready when you guys are.
I'm ready when you guys are.
That's what I said.
That's what I said too.
That's what I said.
3.
I didn't say that.
Real quick, do we have any questions or shout outs? We don't have a section for that. Nothing. I just want to make sure if I need.
We can mention that the top 5 was a shout out. or like a
from
question.
Angie, whatever her
From
last
Angie.
name is.
Angie
We're
Cole.
just gonna Angie Cole. That's what it
I
is.
don't know if you guys don't want to like mention their name totally, or just be like Angie C. Or
We're gonna go with Angie,
Yeah.
one of our favorite fans.
top five.
I think when we get big enough, we're just gonna have people like we'll talk about people based off of their Twitter handle or something like that.
Get them super famous.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. Whenever you guys are ready.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Everybody get your finger on the record. Everybody on there. I'm gonna do it after 3. Here we go.
So like 1, 2, 3, click.
1, 2, 3, and I'll say go, and we click on go.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tripolar Opinion Podcast. I am today's host. My name is Albert Delgado, and I am joined today by my two wonderful guests. Yeah, you're just guests now. Mr. Taylor Hardy.
Hello.
And Mr. David Maggard. What the hell was that?
I didn't know. I just
Was that like Link saying hi but attacking? Like
maybe. I didn't know when Link says hi, he goes,
no, that's the Joker.
But oh god, what's happening? We're right back into this. All right, welcome back, folks. Today we got some interesting discussions centering around a few fun topics, discussing some new theme parks coming to the United States. I won't say where particularly until we get to it. We've got some discussion about a wonderful event that these two gentlemen that are my guests today happen to have attended. That being GenCon. They just spoke about it earlier, and now you'll get to hear about their experience. And then we will get into our top 5 topic, a nice little topic that was suggested by one of our fans about some of our favorite comfort entertainment. But we will get to all of that soon. We will start off though with my topic. So I was mentioning these guys before we got on. I have doved
due diligence.
Sure, whatever you want to call it. I have dove into the deep end of a new thing to look into. Sometimes I get bored and I spend time on YouTube, and I found this channel called Defunct Land, which talks about a lot of old theme park rides and theme parks. Really interesting stuff. Go check it out if you guys have the chance. Look at that plug. You're welcome, Defunct Land. Anyway, in my searches, I've been getting more interested in theme parks, and I found out about a new theme park being built in Orlando. So for those of you who have had the opportunity to go to Disney World, which is none of us, you'll probably know that Disney World has like 5 different parks. Disneyland has 2 technically, Disneyland and California Adventures. Disney World has 5. I'm not going to name all of them because I don't know all of them. And so Universal Studios, which also has the whole like one in LA, one in Orlando, wants to keep up with that. They have their Universal Studios Orlando. They have a second park there as well, and they are building a 3rd park called Universal Epic Universe. And I'm going to send a picture over to my co-host so that they can take a look at the concept art that has come out for this theme park. Feel free to take a look. Let me know when you've seen it. Did you see it? Did you see it?
Nope.
No? Well, that didn't work out nearly as well as I had hoped. Anyway, there's concept art out about this. It's called Universal's Epic Universe. And it's supposed to be the size of the lot that they have for this land is supposedly the size of both Disneyland and California Adventures combined. It is massive. It's going to be a massive park. From what has been discussed within rumors, nothing is confirmed as to what's going to happen here, but there's a lot of rumors. The rumors being that there will be 5 lands inside of this one park. Those 5 lands probably the most for sure thing, one is going to be Super Mario Land. For those of you who are unaware, that land recently came to Japan,
Yes.
right? They made that version there, to great success, from what I hear. People love that place, and so they're going to make a version of it here in the U.S. at the Orlando Epic Universe, whatever, which should include that Super Mario Kart ride as well as the Yoshi family ride, some fun stuff. Other lands that are supposed to be in discussion, they are going to make a third Harry Potter Wizarding World land. I guess the idea is that they want each of their lands to have a different specialty land. For instance, in one of the Orlando areas, they have Diagon Alley. In another one, they have, I can't think of the name, Taylor. Where did they go to a field trip on in the first movie?
Oh, I remember there being a lot of snow, and you had to be a certain age to get there. But
That's
yes,
the
name.
porno store.
Nope.
Oh,
But the name is escaping me. I know the moment in the film.
For those of you fans at home, hopefully you figured out what we're talking about. But that the second Orlando park that they have, or Universal Park they have in Orlando, has an area that's special to their own. That's Harry Potter. This one, they haven't confirmed what the area is going to be, probably because they're still discussing it. There's rumors that it's going to be based off of the Fantastic Beasts series, which is probably why they're holding off, because, oh, hey, look, you found a picture. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Probably why they're holding off, because they want to make sure that Fantastic Beasts does well enough with fans. It probably won't. Anyway, so that's another land. A third land, which most intrigues me, is that they want to make a Universal Monsters land. If you're unaware of what the Universal Monsters are, they are Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, Invisible Man, all those classic Universal monsters. They want to make a whole land based off of that. And I like the idea. They apparently want to do like a whole village, like it's Frankenstein's village, and you see Frankenstein's castle, and they'll have some kind of like show or some kind of ride inside of Frankenstein's castle. It sounds cool. It sounds really cool. The final area, sorry, not the final area. There's a hotel too that's going to be on this park. So that's one that you got to talk about. But the final area is going to be How to Train Your Dragon, which sounds awesome. And they have, apparently it's supposed to be the biggest land that they have. It's going to be very on theme. It feels like you're walking through, what's the place, the village or whatever they live in, Burke, I think. Sounds like
Diagon Alley.
There it is.
You mean Hogsmeade?
It's you figured it out.
I did.
There you go. It's supposed to feel like that. There's supposed to be a ride where you legit feel like you, not that you're riding a dragon, but that you are a dragon. Ooh. And that you are flying over the ocean, you're flying over all the rocks and everything. It's supposed to be like super cool, kind of like soaring over the world or whatever that they have.
California.
No, it's not California anymore. You go over the whole world now. Come on. We were just there.
I'm sorry. I forgot.
How embarrassing.
How could you? It's supposed to be like that, but rather than like upright and staring at a screen, you're going to be laying flat and staring at the screen. So it feels like you're flying and you're staring down at the ocean and stuff. Pretty cool stuff. One other thing that's on there, if you guys can see on your picture, please reference the picture if you might. There is a massive roller coaster right next to How to Train Your Dragon Land that is supposed to be a dueling coaster. What that means, I had to look up because I don't know that much about roller coasters, but apparently it's one of those roller coasters where two like coasters go at the same time, and there are times where they cross past each other and you can like almost high five each other because they're going over top of each other. It's supposed to be a massive roller coaster like that, which these all sound like wonderful ideas. Anyway, that's apparently the latest and greatest of theme parks that are coming to the US. Little things happen, but we haven't gotten in a long time like a whole brand new park, and that's pretty exciting to see. What do you guys think? Have you had the chance to look at the picture pretty well?
Well, Taylor doesn't know, but I sent the picture over to him, but he hasn't looked at his phone yet. So
I keep it on silent. I apologize.
no, it's good. It's good manners for our listeners. They don't want to hear your weird Tesla Taylor ringtone every time you get a text message. So
Is that like the oh yeah, but it's more sexual?
yeah, I know. Okay, I just spent a whole weekend with you, though your phone was going off like Tesla Taylor, Tesla Taylor, Tesla Taylor. So, anyways, real quick, I think I missed it. How big did you say this park is going to be?
I didn't give like a full square footage because I don't know the number, but it's supposed to be the size of Disneyland and California Adventures, and they have more land to expand. They fully intend to expand for like years to come. It's going to get even bigger.
Then that's why I'm like, this is already a decent sized picture. Okay. And maybe I know this is just mock-ups, but like it looks big, but it looks small at the same time. Because when you first go to Disneyland, you grab one of those brochures, and like it kind of shows you like the little map, or now that you have it on your phone or whatever, whatnot. And like I'm trying to think like how much stuff is inside these little lands that make it that big. Other than that, I'm like, I'm pretty stoked about it. Where did you say this was at? Was this in Florida?
Over in Florida, in Orlando, it's supposed to be like maybe a 5-minute drive at most away from the other Universal Studios parks that are over there.
That's crazy. I don't know. It'll be interesting. One thing I did want to go try to see Nintendo World over in, was that Japan, China? Yeah. Over the pond, they say.
Nope, but that's England.
I mean, it's a pond of some sort.
Yeah,
technically
bigger.
I'm not wrong, Taylor. They say over the pond when they come over to us, so that's still a pond.
I thought it was just crossing the Great Wall of China.
I don't think that's what that is.
Oh.
But it's interesting that they're going to have Nintendo World, I think, is something that could honestly probably last on its own. My biggest, I don't even want to say complaint, because it's not a complaint yet, but I want to know what the price point of this is going to be. Because if it's the size of 2 of Disney's parks, and obviously we're from California, so we've been to Disneyland and California Adventure multiple times. What's the price point of this going to be? Because first of all, I don't know about you guys, but in Disneyland, for everything that I want to do, it takes at least 2 days. And in California, I could probably do everything that I want to do there in like maybe half a day. So this is at least a 3-day trip. So I want to know what the price point of that combined with like the hotel. The hotel looks amazing, by the way. If it's anything that's going to look like this, I don't know. There's like a giant skull or something right in the middle of it. I don't know. Like I'm honestly impressed if they can make anything close to this mock-up. And we'll put a post up or a picture up in our Facebook eventually. We'll probably end up putting it on when the podcast gets released, so you guys have something to reference to. But this is massive, and I'm glad there's other IPs out there that are going to be competing with Disney. I think that only just makes each other better as well. So I don't know. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah. I wanted to mention I have done the dueling coasters before. I threw up on that ride, and yeah, it was pretty intense. But this one was in Six Flags in LA, and they have the dueling coasters there. So it's like you get launched, and then you stop, and then another coaster stops, and then you kind of like race each other. You intertwine with each other, and then their ride's finished and then you stop and now you're racing the other new coaster and then you do the intertwining and other stuff and then your ride is done. But it was like a 6-7 minute long roller coaster ride. It was like one of the longest ones there. So yeah, if you can handle coasters, highly recommend it. But for the sensitive and weak people like me, it's not recommended. But um, yeah, very excited they can bring Nintendo World or Land or whatever it's called to Universal Studios in like the United States, make it a little bit easier for the people that can't travel internationally. Because I've definitely wanted to see that land, and I purposely stayed away from spoilers, so that way, if I ever do get to go to Japan, I'd like to experience it myself without seeing anything. So, but yeah, and then it'd be cool if they were able to add more Harry Potter stuff because it's such a big universe, and I just in that own right, I would love to just go there because of that one single land. And then, of course, like How to Train a Dragon is beautiful as well. So, if that picture is like true and accurate, then that would be really awesome. I'm super excited. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And one thing I have discovered in my research of theme parks, the Orlando theme parks are not like the LA ones. There's only so much room in LA, so obviously there's only so much that you can build. If you go to Orlando, for instance, if you go to Disney World, it's been like it's a pretty common like understanding that if you go to Disneyland in California, you could do that in 2-3 days. If you go to Disney World, you need at least a week.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
It's a full-on experience to hit all of these things. They are massive lands. They are so much to do. It is a completely different experience. Granted, a lot of similar rides, but it's huge. It is huge. And that seems to be what Universal's trying to keep up with, is they're trying to be just as huge, just as much of an experience. And man, it sounds awesome. Also, other rumor, like I mentioned, they want to get the 3 lands in Orlando to have their own special Harry Potter area. The other rumor is that they would also like all 3 lands in Orlando to have their own Nintendo area. So what's really fun is they're supposed to be all different IPs. So for instance, Super Mario would be in this new one. There's discussion of a Legend of Zelda one in another one. And then thirdly, a Pokemon one. Will that happen? I don't know, but seems pretty exciting. So that's really cool to think about. Will we ever go? I don't know. Maybe if our Patreon gets enough money in, we could afford to go all the way to
We'll
Orlando.
give you the first scoop if we get enough money.
Yeah, there you go. That's your incentive. We could tell you everything about the place if you pay for it for us. Anyway.
We just got to pay for media badges, and then so that we'll get there for free.
Oh,
and
press badges. Yeah,
press badges. So we're like, hey, we're press here. TPO.
TPO. Man, that'd be nice. Well, anyway, discussing traveling across the country, y'all did that this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You traveled all the way to the East Coast, got your sleep schedules all fucked up. All for a few days at a wonderful event, and y'all go ahead and describe what that event was like.
So just to let you know real quick, I have probably just barely recovered from the sleep schedule, only because even when I got back, my sleep schedule was still messed up. I also wanted to play video games with a couple of our TPO members, and that screwed it up massively. So the last 2 days I've been in hibernation by passing out like around like 9:30 our time, which is like really rare for me.
I like how you're like a couple of our TPO members, like there's 2 other people here.
Just a couple.
You never know. We have Josh, the sound guy.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We just don't really recognize him as TPO. He's more of just like the crew.
Hey,
crew manager.
He is every bit a part of TPO because we're a family, and there ain't nothing stronger than family.
Oh God.
But yes. I don't know if you guys remember from if you listened to our last podcast, Taylor and I said we were going to Indianapolis, Indiana for the best 4 days of gaming, aka also known as GenCon. This year we actually only decided to stay for 3 of the days. Usually Sunday is more of like just a vendor hall, try to get your discount bargain stuff, maybe a couple last minute event things that you could have signed up for. But it's funny, last time 3 years ago I got a little bit homesick, and I think staying that extra day was just a little bit too much for me, so we cut it off at 3 days. But to be honest with you, with well, let's just get the elephant in the room. Obviously, Gen Con was still in COVID protocol. You had to wear your mask through the whole event. They did have break areas where you could like take your mask off and not only just eat, but like take a quick 15-minute like breather. There's a whole bunch of outside stuff like when you went to go to the vendors. But the story starts of getting there. I think for anybody, so both times that we've gone, we've flew in on a Wednesday night. Mind you, the convention starts Thursday, then goes to Sunday. Okay. The first time 3 years ago, we flew in on a Wednesday night, super late because our plane got delayed, and we ended up actually being there really early Thursday morning and only having 3 hours of sleep. This time wasn't as bad, but we still kind of got there pretty late this last time. And then Taylor drove me to try to go get some White Castle at midnight. I'm sorry, we didn't even drive. We like basically ran. And if you don't know me, I'm a 250-pound man with diabetes, and I can't run that fast. So even though he's saying cheeseburgers too, like he's just saying, let's go get these cheeseburgers from White Castle. We get there and I'm out of breath and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to sit inside. First thing he does is go to open the door and they're closed, but the drive-thru's open. So needless to say, we didn't get no White Castle. Anyways, back onto the important stuff. So Thursday morning, we get in there. We have a couple hours to do the opening ceremonies. Weirdly enough, they opened 5 minutes early than what they were supposed to. But they did this because they had set up a regulation line where it was like almost looked like a toilet bowl. Like there's only one little tiny hole to kind of enter in through, even though like all the entrances were like, what were they, like 6, 7, 8 doors?
Yeah.
8 doors wide. But they only wanted you to go through these 2 doors, which is to me was a little bit odd because I'm like, you guys are in COVID protocol again, but you guys all want us to cram in. I don't know if it's because you didn't want us to like run over each other or whatnot. It is what it is. First booth that we hit was Renegade. Now, Renegade had a whole slew of deck building games being released at that time. The one that I wanted to pick up and that I did pick up was The Hunger, which is basically it's a deck building game about being a vampire, going out feasting, and then trying to bring that stuff back to your castle and in a slotted amount of time. Basically, you have 15 turns to do this. If you're caught outside the gates of your castle, you burn to death, and you basically just wasted the whole hour just playing this game for nothing. What? Me and Taylor actually played, well, I don't say play tested, but we did play a game in the hotel. It was a pretty fun game. I enjoyed it. What do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, no, it was definitely good, and I think it'll definitely be more fun with more players too, because then it'll be interesting to see how their strategies work. And so, yeah, it's a really great game.
I'd check it out if you guys have a chance. Meanwhile, after being in that section for the first 10 minutes of the con, we ran over to Pandasaurus and ended up picking up the loop, which I was confused at first when trying to read the instruction booklet, the rule book, but it ended up being a pretty simple game. That was one game I kind of wish we would have demoed before we played, just to understand the strategy more. But overall, it was a good game. I felt super bad because me and Taylor had about 2 or 3 hours before we had to end up in our first event, which was an escape room. So I was kind of like trying to push this lady to like run the transaction, swipe my card, let's go. I still want to walk most of the hall. Mind you, this year compared to 3 years ago, the hall was huge. It was probably at 70% capacity, as in like vendor wise, but I think the experience was still good because there wasn't a lot of people. Like there wasn't a struggle to get from one side of the hall to the other. Like you could actually make it through in a decent amount of time. But me and Taylor saw some interesting stuff, for the first couple hours on day one. We only made it through half the hall until our first event, which was an escape room. Taylor, do you want to talk about the escape room real quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so this escape room was like a 1920s like heist. You get 60 minutes to try to essentially steal these 6 gold bars before the police arrive. Um, I have learned I hate locks and the dial locks like that you use in a locker room and such. Absolutely hate it. So and because like our teammates spent, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes just spinning the dial, and the guy kept trying to go over the radio to help them and is like, nope, you got to do this, got to do that. And it was just like, ah. So there was a moment I just sat down, I just waited and waited because we couldn't progress. We were stuck on this stupid lock. Anyways, um, so yeah, we did not win that escape room, but yeah, it was other than the lock thing, it was still pretty fun. And we got close. We made it to the final room, but and recovered like 2 gold bars, I think. And then
Yes.
yeah, we were missing the last 4, but they were all in that final room anyways.
Mind you, one thing very important that Taylor left out about this room, there is no lights. You're supposed to go through this bank, quote unquote, with just the 6 flashlights that you came in with. There is no lights, so you're basically active robbers trying to go through everything and look for clues with just these flashlights. Obviously, they say you don't turn on the lights because you don't want to alarm anybody to say that, hey, more people are in here, they're trying to rob the bank. And the locks that he's saying that he's talking about, basically, those safes were really old safes. They weren't like the safes that you have these days. They were like back in the day, like he said. I wouldn't say as far as 20s, but they were vintage safes to say the least. Where they even had signs saying don't apply so much pressure because they actually might break or whatnot. But overall, it was an okay experience. I would have liked to try one of those other rooms again, but our schedule is kind of packed. As in, we'll get into the more events. One thing that we did differently this year than we did 3 years ago, we actually signed up for actual playthroughs of board games. We didn't do that last time. Last time we were heavily into the Dragon Ball Z card game and signed up for tournaments or trying to get into those tournaments. But this time we actually had like a set of games to play test, or not even just play test, but to have someone teach us and then go through or whatnot. For me personally, day one was a hit and miss. As in, so our first game that we tested was called Guns, Fights, and Gambling. Loved the layout of the game. Basically, it's a 3-on-3 game. 3 people play the bad guys, 3 people play the good guys. So you have like the sheriff and his people, the governor and kind of scout, and then the bad guys is like a head honcho and a different type of scout or whatever. But you play like at a horseshoe style. So like all the good guys will go first, and then the lowest bad guy would go, then the second bad guy would go, then the head honcho would go, and that would always be how it went. The object of the game was to try to burn the town down, and you gain points that way. Also, having shootouts and winning those shootouts, you gain points. But for every town that the good guys had up, they'd get more points at the end of the game for basically what they had. It was a fun, interesting little game. The only thing I think it suffered from was like towards the end, one of your people like don't really get to have a choice to do anything. because like their special power is, hey, I can give you this power up, basically called a snake oil, but your team can only hold one per person, and there's 6 rounds in the game. So if you spent your very early rounds using your special power to give snake oil to all your people, including yourself, you have no use for 3 of those rounds for your character. Also, I found out that I had broken the record. They do something called like a dice check. So basically my character had to like try to steal some items away from people. And it would tell you like on a D20, you have to roll like an 11 or higher, or a 15 or higher, or whatever, whatnot. 13 straight rolls of missing the check. 13 straight rolls of not being able to steal a Colt revolver or a pack of cigarettes or an alcohol bottle. On the 14th roll, I had my first stand-up moment at a convention where I finally stole one of the most prized possessions at 15 or higher, and everyone just stood up. Even the other guys across the table stood up. We all screamed. It was like, yeah, because it was just embarrassing. Okay. The game was fun. It's something I would recommend someone play. We almost bought it. I just couldn't find it in the budget at the time to pick it up. What do you think about that game, Taylor?
Yeah, I really liked the group that we got. We had a really great group of people. We were supposed to have 6. There was 5 of us, and then the girl that was teaching us ended up being our 6th person. But yeah, really great group. Everyone was laughing, joking with each other, having a great time learning this game. But yeah, as David was saying, the character that I was playing, like you give out snake oil and stuff to everyone, and then once you lose, because I only have 3 abilities, once you can't do that anymore, now it's like, oh, you can gather information. Well, the person in front of me can also gather information, and if they roll higher than me, then I can't do anything. So now the only other thing I can do is plant a bomb, and that's it. So it like that character, I feel like it needs some work. Because towards the late game you become useless, and so, but yeah, otherwise I think it is a good game to play, and yeah, really had a great time with everyone.
So, real quick, if you guys thought that was the bad part of the day, it wasn't. We had a second game to demo. Harry Potter's House Cup competition. Let me just say this. The game was amazing to play. It was an easy, light worker placement game, meaning like you pick up a person, he goes here, you collect resources, whatever, whatnot. The people running the booth, you are horrible.
Yes.
Okay.
You should feel bad.
I understand, like a lot of these people, they get volunteers, and like, hey, come volunteer, help us out with our booth, we'll give you some games, we'll pay for your hotel, whatever. You were trash. I am so sorry, but Albert, we had to teach ourselves how to play that game. First of all, the game was a 4-player game. 6 of us were at the table. You know what she said? She said, hey, why don't you guys do teams? I said, what? She's like, and then like the other lady, I felt bad because one of the other people were like, hey, don't worry about it, we'll just do teams. And I'm like, that's kind of like a disadvantage to the couple that came together, because they're playing separately. And I came with Taylor, and there was 2 other random people. By the way, we were Hufflepuff for the win, because we won. Thank you very much. But the lady comes over and was like, all right, make sure you guys set up the game, and walks away. What do you mean set up the game? So the guy, his wife is obviously getting irritated. I'm trying to keep cool, because I'm not trying to ruin the trip for any of us, because this is our only second game ever to demo. She walks away. The guy fucking takes control, and we start setting up the board. And then I swear to you, at no point did she ever was like, this is how you start playing the game. Literally, the guy that was with us, that just sat at the table, was going through the rule book, skimming through and teaching us how to play the game. The lady at small points during the game was like, oh, you can't do that. Well, no one knew. Dummy, you know why? Because no one taught us how to play the game. We signed up to be taught how to play Harry Potter's House Cup competition. Not, hey, I'm going to go over here and pretend to show someone some other crap while you guys take care of this damn table. We were also the first people there at that table. There was 3 tables to play Harry Potter's House Cup competition. Okay. We were the first filled table, and still no one would help us out.
And to add to that too, like, because not to sound privileged or anything, you pay for this event, so you pay money, so that way they can. Usually, you have a person sit down with you and teach you and stay with you for the whole game, and then correct any errors while you're playing, and it's a much more enjoyable experience. But yeah, as Mr. Maggard was saying, this lady like would randomly come up, say like, "Oh no, you're not supposed to do that," or just read directly off the player card that everyone has access to, and it's like you're still not explaining the rules. We could read the player card, we get that concept, but it was just like such a bad experience that I was just like, I'm about to walk and get up and leave now because this is no longer fun. But anyways, the game was good. It was just, yeah, the company, whoever was doing it, was bad, just very bad.
That was the op, by the way, and I not to name blast them or anything, because they do have some decent games, but we got to get it together, man. I'm not gonna invite you to come over to my house and then just throw a rule book at you, like, all right, you teach me how to play the game while I go off and like start cooking dinner or something, or like going to use the restroom and then come back and like, oh, you guys didn't set up the game. Like, seriously, how would you feel if someone were like, all right, here's Rising Sun with all the expansions, go figure it out, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. Okay. Mind you, if for our listeners who don't understand, Rising Suns are like an epic game. It's pretty big. It's not that complicated to play, but going through the rule book first is like the most confusing thing. Okay.
And it's about like a 3-hour game too, just to play.
And so I'm like, who first of all, who put this lady? She was late. She was late when she first got there. I just don't. Please, I get it. Things go wrong, whatever, whatnot. But don't have that type of attitude. That was the only bad demo or a person to teach us the game. And like I said, I probably wouldn't have made a big deal about it, but we did technically pay to play. Okay. And I just don't understand how you run a play session like that, where you didn't teach the game, you didn't do anything, but you're going to come back and say, hey, you're doing this wrong. Well, I didn't know I was doing it wrong because no one taught me how to play this game. I'm sorry. Anyways, so that was basically Thursday. We demoed a couple other small games. I believe there's this game called Battle Bosses, which is like a little child's miniatures game, I would say, or like lighthearted miniature stuff. Was pretty fun. Looked at some dice, almost picked up $100 pair of dice, whatever, whatnot. That was day 1. Day 2 comes around. I end up buying this cup on day 2 in the beginning. It was this metal mug from Wild Bill's Soda. The cup cost me about $50, but for the whole weekend, I could have unlimited refills of like homemade sodas. Obviously, I'm diabetic, so it was diet root beer for me the whole trip. But yeah, you could just basically walk right up, you show your mug and have like a little tag and be like, hey, all right, free refill. And then you get a free refill. The only bad experience I had with that, the thing was covered in fucking bees. There was a guy literally trying to vacuum the bees into his little vacuum, and then he had to go away and then release them later. Okay. Which I'm pretty sure they just came back to the soda. So I got free soda I don't want to say free. I paid for the soda for the whole weekend. It was pretty cool, whatever, whatnot. Our first event that we went into was Detective, the modern crime board game. Amazing game. First of all, amazing teacher. The guy brought all 3 tables over to his table and explained the rules thoroughly and was like, hey, if you have any questions, hit me up. I'll come to your table. We'll figure it out. Detective. It's basically an interactive board game that you use your phone with an app, and like it'll say certain things like, hey, this is the crime, someone got murdered here, this is what the layout is. you have an X amount of time, which is shown in hours on the board, and it'll tell you like, hey, if you want to go do an autopsy on the body or get the autopsy report, you need to go to the medical field. That takes you 2 hours to drive or an hour to drive there, and then to look up the information or get the information takes you 2 hours. Like I said, we had to solve our crime within 3 hours. I don't think it's an actual crime in the game. I think it was just like a demo setup. The game was amazing. Um, I didn't get a chance to pick it up there because no one was selling it, but it, like I said, it integrates using an app on your phone. So, like, if you need files on, let's say, this person that looks suspicious, you can go to your files, click on the dude's names, and run his name through your system, and then boom, information shows up there: blood type, height, if he has any distinguishing marks on his arms or whatever, whatnot. It's all the information's there. I thought it was really cool. Loved the demo. Loved how Portal handled their booth. Amazing game. What'd you think, Taylor?
Yeah, it was a good game. It was quickly you could quickly pick it up, and then you as a group kind of like all pick a thing to do, and because you have a time constraint, and if you go over that time, you start stressing yourself out, and then too many stresses is bad in that game. So, but yeah, I like the database thing. At first, I was like, why do we need like a phone app to play this game? But it makes sense how it does it because when you start, like David was saying, like you tag these things in, and then the pieces start matching together in the database, and then it's like, oh, okay, I understand why a traditional way wouldn't work. But having the app was pretty cool. So
Yeah,
that was a good.
it's definitely, it's a game that's been out for a while. I'm just glad that I got to demo it because I was always on the fence of like, how is this going to work well with a board game? On to the next thing. We got to go to the Dice Tower show right after that. They put on an amazing show. Top 10 list of games that have a bad title. um, Watched the Dice Tower. It's a YouTube show about board game reviews, and they do some other funny stuff as well. Basically, they said they're probably going to end up putting that top 10 out somewhere because GenCon actually recorded it because they didn't record it for themselves. I think that's why they didn't want to do. Oh, that's another thing. No company did a super major announcement like, hey, were you looking for this? They kind of just dropped like subtle hints and then was like, okay, this is what's coming out soon or whatever, whatnot. But no one did like, hey, we need a whole show to tell you what's coming out. After that, we went to go demo a game called Thier, a game I instantly fell in love with. I'm not too big on the MOBA style things, but this had like elements of magic, like miniatures with magic, the card game gameplay. And basically there's 3 towers and you want to kind of like not only just destroy these towers, but there's other stipulations that help you win the game. Like, hey, if you just destroy your left tower, you automatically win instead of having to destroy all 3. The game was interesting. There's a big learning curve because if you don't know how to play magic, it's going to be kind of confusing, and 2, the way that certain things go, like the flow of the game, it's something you have to kind of get used to. But like I said, it's moving miniatures, attacking, doing damage to people, blocking, reacting, whatever. A lot of stuff with like magic, but with miniatures on a board. And like one special thing, they had like you could take control of like this middle god. I don't remember what it was called, but like
Yeah.
he would like give you like a big swing. Basically, if you took control, he can just like move around the board and swing and eat people or whatever, whatnot. But that was pretty cool. Also, I think after that, didn't I don't think we did anything. Oh, we did the Funkoverse tournament.
We did.
Um, this was probably one of the times I wish we had a third person there. So the tournament was a 3-person team. We just went in with me and Taylor, hoping to pick up somebody while we are there. Unfortunately, our table got split, so we got put into 2 different groups. Now, I don't know for surely how Taylor's experience went, but mine sucked. I had 2 brand new players who had never played the game on my team. and I basically had 10 minutes to teach them how to play the game, even though it was already requested in the rules, like you need to know how to play this game in order to be in this tournament. So I had to teach these two how to play. I don't want to say any names, but one of them was like somewhat of a sore loser. So like every time we were like losing, he was like throwing a really big fit about the whole thing, which kind of like killed the game for me. I almost didn't want to play anymore. Now, if you don't know what Funkoverse is, it's basically those Funko Pops, and they turned them into like, I don't even want to say half size, maybe like quarter size. And it's a skirmish game that you move your. I got Batman. I move him 2 spaces. He throws a batarang. We'll do some damage. Roll some dice. We'll see what happens. It's a very, I don't want to say luck orientated, but it's a dice chucker. Something not to be taken seriously. My experience sucked. We just ended up getting trampled over, and there was no strategy. And like I said, one of the people were like super not cooperative and wanted to do his own thing. It is what it is. But I left home with a free. I don't even know where he's at. I had a Black Panther Funko, so I got that at least. Taylor, your experience?
Yeah, it was really good actually. I unfortunately like for Mr. Baggard, but I was able to get two really great teammates. Uh, one she was dressed as Negan from The Walking Dead, and then the other guy was just security for Gen Con. But yeah, it was they were both really nice, accommodating, and everything. We had our first round and we won that round, but it doesn't count towards anything. I guess it was kind of like a practice round to get used to like how the game's going to be played. And then the second game that we played that actually counted, we got steamrolled pretty badly. Voldemort's really strong. But yeah, it was good. I had a lot of fun playing with them. And same for the opponent. They had fun as well. So and then I got to keep that Funko, which is Gretzko or Agritsuko or however it's pronounced. But yeah, super awesome. So now I got a little trophy to say like I was a part of this tournament, and then we also got a board that was never released to the public, so we got to keep that. And then some of like the first prizes was amazing. Like you got all the chase variants, you got prototype productions that weren't ever released to the public. So it's like they got all this cool stuff, and then we found out after the math that like if even though we lost, if we would have stayed, they had so many extra pops, we could have stayed and got some free ones, and it's just like, damn. But it was a really good experience, and even for only playing the game like my third time, I would definitely do it again. So
Yeah, I forgot to mention one thing about the backstory of how they did the tournament. As soon as you walked in, you got a number from 1 through 100, and that was a draft order that you would get. So they had 100 of their characters. I don't think it was 100. I think they only have 60. So some of them had doubles.
yeah.
And basically, when your number was called, you went up and you got one of those characters to use for the tournament, and that's the one you also got to keep. So Taylor got a Gretsuko. I got stuck with Black Panther. I wanted somebody else, but my number was like 46. So a lot of those people got taken. I don't want to say stuck because Black Panther's a pretty decent character. So I don't know. I'd do it again. But that was our Friday night. Obviously, is also filled with eating and drinking, and not alcohol, but more of that diet root beer. um One thing did forget to mention, on Friday, I had been messaging one of the creators to this game of a Kickstarter that I missed. The Kickstarter was Necromodes. Basically, it's a miniature skirmish game, but what you do is you get like a jar of Play-Doh, and you have like these books. Like you would open up and you put the Play-Doh inside, and you would squish it together, and it would make you a mold of whatever character that you're using. I missed the Kickstarter of something that I thought the boys would love because they love playing with Play-Doh. He said he was going to be at Gen Con. I had messaged him saying, "Hey, do you have any copies on hand?" He said he had 10, that I could meet up with him. We met with him. Straight, amazing, cool guy, super laid back and chill. I felt kind of bad because later, Taylor, I didn't know this at the time, but the guy that was playtesting the game with him when we walked up was doing a review on his show.
Oh,
So yeah, we kind of like showed up and like Clint is his name, the guy who created Necromolds, was like, oh, go ahead, sit down. I'm like, oh no, I'm the guy that messaged you about the game. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, let me get this for them. So we got the whole we got the whole thing and the 4 booster packs. And this is what I thought was really cool. So the 4 booster packs, there were set 1, set 2, set 3, set 4. He had accidentally brought 2 set 3s, but I had paid him already for the whole thing when we met up. He's like, hey, let me meet you up later. Just text me where you're at and I'll come see you. And like, normally in a different type of setting, I'm like, oh, that's kind of sketch. But like everything that he said made me believe him right from the gate. The guy met me during the Funkoverse tournament out of his way after he went back to his hotel to grab it and found me and gave me the proper booster pack that I was missing for the game. So I thought that was totally cool. Another fun fact, now that we move on to our last day for Saturday, we somewhat ate breakfast with the dude because we had the same exact hotel. So I didn't notice him at first, and like he's like, hey David, how's it going? How'd your tournament go last night? I'm like, oh, it's Clint. And then Taylor was kind of confused at first, but it's okay. But yeah, we talked a little bit and he told me what he was doing and we told him what we were doing, and it was just a great time seeing him. And then we met him multiple times during the convention again. But most of our Saturday I ended up picking up more games. I ended up picking up the Sky Tier game. What else did we pick up? Oh, Taylor had demoed this game called Claim, which is like a small trick taking game, which has some fun aspects. As in, like, if you don't know what trick taking is, you can basically do it with a regular deck of cards. Like if someone plays the king of hearts, you have to play a heart, and if you can beat the king of hearts, then you win the trick technically. So you would win all the cards that are being played. So basically, what you want to do is you play a card, and then whoever wins takes all the cards. But that's only for the first part of the game, because the second part of the game is that if you play a card again, I think it's like the second time it's like for keeps or something like that, or like just score points.
something like that. Yeah.
So like if someone plays like the King of Hearts and you're going to lose, you're going to want to throw like your crappiest heart card out there so that when they take him, you could possibly win it back later to actually score the final score. I know it's an interesting little game. Taylor ended up picking it up. We did our last demo of the weekend, our true demo, I should say our playthrough. It was a small little game called Wild Space by Pandasaurus. Mind you, I did say I visited Pandasaurus earlier in the week to buy a game. After that playthrough, I visited Pandasaurus again. The gentleman that ran the booth for Pandasaurus was a little late, but he was super chill, relaxed, explained the game very well, stayed with us through pretty much the whole thing until we got it we're able to do it by ourselves. Then he left to go help another group, but still was able to help us out with certain questions. Wild Space is a basic, almost like I don't want to say engine building game, but it's a very tight action selection game where you only get 10 actions to do things. And what you do is you take your ship and you visit the bottom of a planet, and it tells you to do one action. And then you can either take the same ship and move it up to actually explore the planet to do whatever the top action is, or you can take another one of your ships to visit another bottom part of the planet. The game was really tight. I mean, it allows you to do like multiple card combinations, because what you want to do is have a different whatever like the most rhinos or whatever, the most monkey animals, whatever whatnot, because it kind of is like it's space animal meeple people, or whatever you'd like to say. The game was really good. It was really tight, and let's just say it even though we paid for that event, they gave us a $2 ticket, they gave us a regular ticket to say, hey, this is $2 off if you go back to buy the game, and you can combine tickets. So me and Taylor combined our tickets for me to buy, and the other couple that we ended up playing with were like, hey, we already hit our budget, why don't you guys take it? And then the guy that we played with was cosplayed as
The free guy.
Oh yeah, the freak
Yeah.
from why can't I think of the name? Was it from Office Space?
Um,
No.
no, the movie Free Guy with
Oh,
Ryan
the movie
Williams.
Free Guy. That's what it was. I am so sorry. I don't know why I'm getting those two guys mixed up. But yeah, he cosplayed as the guy from Free Guy.
Yeah.
Which is pretty hilarious. It somewhat sounded like Ryan Reynolds at
Ryan
certain parts during the
Reynolds.
games. Yeah, Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds? Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Other than that, we ate at a pretty nice restaurant. Albert, there's something I have to tell you, so don't get mad, okay? I passed up Eric Lang on the street.
And you didn't say anything?
He was very busy in conversation with somebody, and I didn't want to interrupt him. we were walking to dinner, and I was like, "Oh crap, that's Eric Lang," and I said it like pretty loud too. So like I knew he heard me, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" And then like I said, he was like in deep conversation with the guy. They were like speed walking back to the convention while we're walking to dinner. Yeah. By the way, if you don't know who Eric Lang is, it's basically me and Albert's favorite designer. Uh, Guy's a genius. He makes wonderful games. Blood Rage, Rising Sun, the new Ankh that just came out, just to name a few. Um, yeah, that was probably the one time maybe I could have pulled in for a picture, but like I said, was super into whatever he was doing at that point in time.
Terrible. Terrible. He's right there.
Yeah, so my one last suggestion for anybody that's visiting Gen Con, make sure you eat, make sure you get some sleep, make sure you shower. And last thing, also make sure you make reservations to restaurants that you want to visit, because let's just say someone thought we had the bright idea we could just walk in and go to the most popular steakhouse while there was a game playing the very next day, and not thinking that anybody had visited the restaurant, and we never got a chance to eat at St. Elmo's, but that's okay.
Another suggestion is making sure your work alarms are turned off so they're not ringing at 4 a.m. in the morning. But you know,
first of all, it's not 4, it's 5 o'clock. Okay. You kept saying, I think you woke up at 4 for no reason.
No,
Okay?
no.
At no point in time do I have an alarm at 4 o'clock in the morning. And my alarm doesn't change just because we change time zones either. Okay. But
Yeah.
other than that, there's tons of stuff that I didn't get to explain that we did. Walking the vendor hall, just doing demos, checking other people's stuff out. Like I said, the last playthrough of that game, Wild Space, led me, because I thought I was done shopping, I'm not gonna lie, led me to go buy Wild Space, and they told me to also to go visit another booth for another game called Valiant Wars, which is a really fun game that we only played for 10 minutes, and as soon as we played it, I'm like, I think I have to have this game because it's something different. It's like a push your luck deck building game, basically. Something that's quick and it's a filler and everyone can play, basically. The big question, Taylor, would you go back again?
Absolutely.
And then my question to Albert is, would you go after listening to the story, period?
I was ready to go before the story, and now I'm definitely going to go after the story.
Yes.
Whenever our next chance is.
Yeah, it might be sooner than later. We'll see what happens. It all depends on the funds. Wink, wink, hit our Patreon.
So we could get some press badges for Gen Con and demo games.
Yeah, if we get press badges for Gen Con, then we can actually be there. We'd have to be there Tuesday night to be there for Wednesday, because Wednesday's all like media type of stuff, or set up, or to go inside and check all that stuff out. But anyways, we're getting way too far ahead of ourselves. Yeah. Gen Con's the only convention that I've truly been to. I've been to like small toy conventions here, or like comic conventions in Sacramento, but like a true grandiose big experience, Gen Con I've been there twice, and I would love to go more times. If the chance were to arise and I have the funds to do it again, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Even though that this convention seemed just a little bit, I don't want to say like smaller because it still felt big. Um, there were people missing, but that allowed indie gamers or indie companies to come in and like shoot their idea. Matter of fact, I bought one board game from like a smaller company I've never even heard before. That was like the Grand Gamers Guild or something like that. Um, which they had an interesting board game. I'm getting ahead of myself. It allowed a whole bunch of people to come in and shoot their shot at to someone to to put their game out there. We learned so much. We learned about games that were coming out. There's a game about a storybook where like those old school books where you would like open the pages and like pop-ups would happen. Like that was the board. It looked amazing. There was a game based on loosely on Super Smash Bros. Like more of the setting, but not the characters. So like the one crazy thing that they said is that they were getting together with other uh companies from not just the con, but like companies that they know to integrate some of their characters into their game. Like the knockoff Yu-Gi-Oh guy from Millennium Blades is going to be in the game, and that's not even their company. So um it was well worth it. At no point in time did I feel like, at least since this was our second time, we kind of knew what was going on. We didn't know what we were doing or like felt overwhelmed, or everything just kind of just fell in place. And to me, it was just, I don't know, it was one of the better weekends that I've had. I don't want to say period, but it was just a really good weekend for me. Taylor, what did you think?
Yeah. Yeah, the convention was like smaller in terms of like people, but that made it really nice because now you're not just like shoulder to shoulder with people like in the vendor hall, and you can actually get from point A to point B relatively easy because sometimes there'd be like traffic jams, especially around the popular game areas, and you just have to kind of like avoid them. But yeah, I've had a great time being there. It was really nice. Got tons of things to do there, plenty of games to play. There's something else that's really cool too, where you can go and play test games and give direct feedback to the publishers to the games, and then so it feels like you're making a difference. So that would be really something cool to try out next time. And any new tournaments and such, definitely worth doing. So those are my thoughts on Gen Con.
Yes, yes. Awesome, awesome time. We even at one point in time were trying to figure out something to do towards the end of our day, and we kind of wandered the exhibit hall, and there's a place over there where like if someone has the orange cone on their table, means they're playing a game and they're looking for players. So basically they're more than welcoming. A couple people had like shouted us out like, "Hey, do you want to come and play with us?" But like I said, we were just walking around trying to wind down to the end of the night, doing one of the closing ceremonies, which was, we had posted it on our Facebook page, but it's called Card Hala.
Yeah, Card Holla,
Card Hala. So it's a little event where
Card Balla.
people, Card Vala. I think
Yeah,
it's
I don't
called
know.
Card Hala. I think it's called Card Hala.
I wasn't there, and I'm gonna say it's Card Holla.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it was Card Hala, but it's a little event where like, so first of all, people donate mostly magic
I changed my
cards.
mind. It's Ty Dolla. Okay, go ahead.
God dang it. um, People donate like their unused magic cards, or it could be like Uno cards, whatever. They donate their cards, and they put them on the floor, and people can go grab a stack or as much as they want and start building card castles. Okay, and for the most part, people build these things pretty sturdy. No glue, no tape, no nothing is included. Okay, and then at the end of the night, Saturday night, they get a bid going on for the first coin throw. This year they raised, I think it was like $900 for the first coin throw. And all that really does is it lets you throw the first coin to try to knock a building down. But it's more about the charity than anything else, which I believe the two charities that they were donating to, one, they were both really good. One was It was from one was for mental health, and the other one I believe was it was homes for kids who had like just came out to their parents and they didn't have anywhere to go. So like meaning like their parents had like kicked them out and didn't want them in the house or something like that. And it would basically help them get into, a safe space. So you know, being yourself you should never be ashamed of, period. And I know that's one of the most hardest things right now for you know people in general. And I thought it was really cool that I didn't know there was like some type of charity that did that, but to know that that's something that's a possibility, for anybody who's struggling, and they do tell their parents, and you know it doesn't go the way that they planned it, that there's actually someone out there to somewhat help you, try to stabilize your life back again, because the last thing you want to do is be back on the streets. So it's not a fun place. But yeah, back to the card hollow thing. Basically after someone throws the first coin, there's a countdown, 5 4 3, or I don't know why, but I felt like they did it from 30.
Oh,
Yeah, they counted down from 30, and then you just get a ton of people, at the end of the countdown, just start throwing their change, trying to knock these things over. It's an experience in itself. It was pretty, it's I don't know, it's a nice way to end off your night. But other than that, no big problems. Love the convention, loved everything that was there, from start to finish, and definitely will try to do it again.
Well, that's amazing, and definitely something that needs to be experienced. As cool as the stories are, I'm sure it's totally different actually being there. Um, I know I ended up passing this year just because, like you mentioned, COVID protocols were going on. One, I wanted to be safe, and two, I also want to experience like full on Gen Con if I'm going to experience it, because I don't know if I'll go consistently. But one time I got to do the full thing. Um, but it seems like it's an awesome experience. It's definitely one of those experiences. If you like board games, this is the thing to do, at least in the U.S. I know there's other ones around the world that are pretty cool, but yeah, I'd be super down to give it a try. And all of you should too. And you should help pay for our trip. That'd be nice.
Definitely. And if we do end up going to Gen Con and you see one of us there, don't be afraid to pull us and be like, hey, do you want to play a game with us? Matter of fact, Taylor and I had made two Gen Con buddies. I am so sorry I'm forgetting your guys' names, but I do have I do have your information in my phone. I believe one of them is named Chong, and I don't remember the other guy's name.
began with an A.
I think it was Armin.
Yes.
It is Armin. Armin and Chong. There we go. And crazy backstory about them. They're both best friends as well. And they go to Gen Con to see each other because one's from Texas and the other one's from Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just an experience. I'm telling you, make friends. It doesn't matter what background you come from. Like, no one cares about that. All we care about is just playing games at that point in time with the people at the table and enjoying a good time. I don't think we ever played a game where it was the same people, at least for us, that when we were doing these events, but still everyone was super friendly. Everyone wanted to work with each other. No one was trying to step on each other's toes. Fortunately, I didn't have like a rules lawyer or anything in my group, except I had that one bad experience for the tournament. But other than that, it's just a great experience. I don't know how much more I could say. I probably can go on for another hour or two going into detail of everything that we did, but you have to if you're remotely interested in board games like that, you just have to go to this event.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. Well, going on to our next topic, we go to our top 5 lists, and this top 5 list was suggested to us by one of our wonderful fans. Who was it again?
Angie.
Yeah. See, I remember all of our fans' names, of course. She asked us what was some of our comfort entertainment, comfort shows, comfort movies, things that are your go-to. If you don't know what to put on, if you're feeling bad, whatever the case might be, it's your go-to for entertainment. So we created our top 5 list around that question of our top 5 comfort entertainments. The one caveat being that we disincluded music, just because I mean you could do like a top 100 of songs that are your go-to when you need a pick me up and when you're feeling down, whatever. Music, there's just so much. There's so much. It has such an effect on your emotions. Know that we're not hating on music. It's just there'd be a lot to talk about, and we don't have that kind of time here. So we're just going to stick with other forms of entertainment. So going into our top 5s, I don't want to start. Who wants to start?
I could start. Let me just go by explaining how I made this list real quick. So a couple of things I could have took the easy way out, because obviously everyone knows most of my kids are named after like movies and stuff like that. So I didn't do so much. Well, I don't want to spoil most of it, but I didn't do so much for the movies that you guys think that I might do it by. Let's just say that. But starting with number 5, something that just also recently hit Netflix, which I'm super happy about. Okay, I used to watch this a ton when I was a kid. It was the only VHS movie that I had growing up at the time, and it's something that I'd like to try to go back to and watch, and it just it gives me that homey home feel, you know, like back in your first room that you had by yourself in your first home that you grew up in. And the movie is Major Pain. I love the movie as a kid, still love the movie today. So glad that it came back onto Netflix. Matter of fact, I think I've watched it like 4 or 5 times now, and the kids are pretty into it as well. I don't know, it just gives me, like I said, that feeling that I'm back at home in my room in my Lola's house, and just watching this movie on this old school VCR player that I had first bought with my my money that I had earned for $3, you know, on this old school tube TV too. So yeah, my number 5 is Major Pain.
Quality choice there, sir. Very, very good. We did recently watch that actually when we were scrolling through Netflix on a random Sunday with nothing else to do, you know, before football started. And threw that on. It's so good. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's an underrated movie. Or maybe it's properly rated that just doesn't get talked about a lot. I don't know. I like it. It has its funny moments, and there's a little bit of heartwarmingness to it, you know. He's all, them kids is making me soft. It's how I feel about my kids sometimes, but hey, just perfect all around.
My turn, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good.
Yeah, go for it.
So this show, I kind of discovered it recently, and I don't know, I find it very oddly soothing just to watch. But it's called Property Brothers. These two twins, they basically one sells the home and one fixes the home, and then they find these fixer uppers to make them a dream home essentially. And so I don't know, I just find it just very entertaining to watch. Unfortunately, they've switched it now to where you have to pay for a subscription just to watch them, and I'm like, well, guess I can't watch that anymore. But anyways, yeah, it was a really just like it's a nice relaxing show. I don't need to really pay attention to it too much. It's nice to have in the background, and it's kind of fun to watch to see like what problems they run into. And I know they kind of spruce it up for dramatic purposes, but there's some things I'm like, I could do that, I could fix it. But yeah, it's pretty cool to watch.
I feel like people could fill a whole list of just HGTV shows.
Yeah.
Like there's such a comfort of seeing these things that clearly we have no ability of doing, but could totally do. And just seeing these, like, even just the people that are, I don't even remember what it's where they're house hunting, and like just choosing between the houses and being like, I choose that house right there. That's my house. They'll
Yep.
never afford it. But that's my house.
Yep.
Well, moving on to my number 5. Um, this one, it was hard for me to break it down to just a single one, and I apologize if this is cheating, just because it's changed over time, but it's still the same category. And that category being game shows. There aren't as many nowadays, which is sad. Um, I don't know if y'all remember GSN. That was a wonderful channel that we were lucky to have because my parents paid for like the premium of DirecTV, so we got GSN. Um, but even from as far back as when I was a kid at my grandma's house, I would there. The best thing. My elementary school was connected to the backyard of my grandma's house, and I got permission one year to be able to walk back during my lunchtime and eat lunch at my grandma's house. Best year of my life. Just to go back home to eat grandma's cooking, take a little nap, watch some TV, some afternoon TV before going back to school. Best fucking thing that could happen to you. Um, I would do that, and then I'd come in and I'd watch. It's always game shows, and then it would lead into The Young and the Restless. But it was always the Price is Right. It was The Weakest Link. Um, Sometimes we'd throw in like the Wheel of Fortune, but that was more of the later day type of game shows. Nowadays, it's more Jeopardy because that's what's on Netflix, so I can watch the Jeopardies on Netflix. R.I.P. Alex Trebek, you'll be missed. Um, and so but there's just something about game shows and watching, and it slightly makes you smarter because you're learning new things while you're doing it. But more than anything, it's just one, relaxing because there's no stakes to you, but two, just very entertaining to see these people competing to see who's smarter or who does the crazier thing or whatever. It's just fun. And it's very relaxing.
I'd have to agree. You know, when you said game shows, immediately I started thinking of Price is Right with Bob Barker. For the younger listeners who don't know who that is, go Google him. He was like the Hugh Hefner of game shows. The dude was just amazing and surrounded by women all the time. But yeah, I loved Bob Barker. I loved his reactions. I loved how my Lolo, aka Grandpa in Filipino, and my Lola would like react to like certain things, like oh, he overbid, on the final part of the section, or it's like I told him the bleach was only 350, like just stuff like that. Just watching those shows and always wanted to be on one. I wonder if we could get on one. That'd be crazy, right?
Didn't they used to do like live versions of it at a certain place? I forget where, but we can go find it. We can get on. And then we could do that whole thing where we're like, yeah, I got picked.
I just want to be the last person when they're doing the first bidding of like, how much does this electric scooter cost? And be that guy, just be like, $1, Bob, $1. And everyone's like, yeah, and it's not it. It's just never.
Also, you ain't talking to Bob anymore. It's
Oh,
Drew now.
I forgot.
Yeah.
It's super skinny Drew Carey.
God. It's
Also,
weird.
fun fact: Bob Barker's 97.
Really? Is he still alive?
Yes.
He is.
Really? That's amazing. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Drew Carey, I liked him more in Whose Line Is It Anyways? But hey, things change. Anyways, I guess it's my number 4.
Correct.
Yes.
All right. So let's just put a little secret out there. Okay. I don't even want to say it's a secret. Obviously, everyone knows that I'm a big guy. And in order for me to gain this confidence of being a big guy and being comfortable, I don't want to say that I'm comfortable, but being okay with the body that I have, took a long time. Obviously being fat or a bigger guy, there's a lot of people who, you get bullied a lot in school, especially being like a younger kid, and you kind of have to go through those progressions of building your self character of like evolving into a better person. One movie that actually helped me with that was Disney's Heavyweights. watching that movie, and like the parents like, oh, you need to go to fat camp, and then he gets there. You get there, and they're like you're watching this kid kind of like he's like having a fun time because he's just being with bigger people, and then all of a sudden that mean old freaking Ben Stiller shows up, and he's trying to get all these kids super healthy, and that's not that's not what it's about. It's like being healthy within yourself and making better choices, but being okay with your body. That was one movie that like made me comfortable to the person who I am today, this funny, cheerful, go lucky big guy. So I owe a lot of it to Heavyweights for helping me gain that self-confidence and being able to take off my shirt in public pools.
I'm happy they allowed you to do that as well.
Oh, you like it when I take off my shirt?
Exactly.
Best part of my day.
Yeah, so yeah, that was one of my comfort movies that I anytime that I was like feeling crappy about my weight. I don't know. That's just one of those feel good movies. Yeah, that's my number 5.
Beautiful. Very beautiful.
I'm not crying.
Yep.
He's crying. Right. For anyone that's not watching, he's crying.
So I guess we'll move on to my number 4.
Oh, number 4?
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of do what you did, Albert, and kind of combined like one thing. So it's basically like a nice film to put on like when I'm not feeling well or just not doing well. It's just nice. So it's the Harry Potter movies. Like you basically put one in there and you don't need to just watch the first one. You can start anywhere really, and then it's just really nice because I've seen them so many times. But yeah, you could just watch those, and it's a relaxing film and makes me want to be a wizard. So that will be my number 4.
Very nice. It is always it's always nice to be able to put something on that just brings good memories. And Harry Potter is always definitely one of those that's just it's so whimsical and magical and happy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, moving on to my number 4. I've recently gotten into doing this, just throwing it on because it came to Netflix. And for a while, I remember watching it all when it first was on. I watched the whole series. I loved it. I wasn't sure if anybody else watched it for the longest time. And then when it hit Netflix, it became very apparent that a lot of people watched it. And now I put it on randomly on Netflix, and that being Avatar: The Last Airbender. I obviously watching it, there's a full story that goes from beginning to end that you can obviously watch. That's wonderful. But the episodes are so well contained that you could throw it on wherever within the series and just enjoy it and just enjoy the singular episode story of the secret tunnel or Ba Sing Se, which Ba Sing Se is like 5 episodes in itself, but still. Or just those random episodes that are so fun that you could throw on and it doesn't matter. And it's so entertaining. It's a quick little thing because they're like 20 something minutes, short little episodes because it's a cartoon, and it's very relaxing. It's very fun.
Yeah, freaking Last Airbender, man. The kids are super into that right now as well. But then again, Rachel just throws it on TV and it's like, sit down and watch. I think it's more for her.
More than likely.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
Well, staying on with theme of emotional episodes for me, number 3 reminds me a lot of my father. At the time, it was like I don't want to say like one of the first movies when I was turned into an adult or like my teenage years, where like we just really sat down and I started understanding the person that he was and the stuff that he used to watch. He would show me things like Speed Racer, and like he could show me him as a kid, but I wouldn't like fully understand like what that meant to him. But it's the movie The Warriors. it's one of my top 3 favorite movies. But him showing me that movie for the first time is just another comfort zone. Reminds me a lot of him. Um, just him explaining to me, like how this was like a cult classic during his time, and it was like a big thing. And then, something that he kind of like passed down on to me, which when the kids kind of get a little bit older, I'd like to show them like, hey, this is what your grandpa watched. One of his favorite movies of all time, which ends up being my favorite movies of all time, which not to plug in GenCon again, but they did show a sneak peek version of a production copy of The Warriors, which I'm super stoked about. But anyways, going back to the comfort part, yeah, when I miss him, I watch it. It's a good thing. It has some iconic lines like, "Can you dig it?" or the most iconic part of the movie is where the guy is just clanging the 3 glasses together like, "Warriors, cling cling cling, come out and play." I'm pretty sure I've made Mr. Hardy sit through and watch it with me. I've made Rachel watch it with me. Like I said, it's one of my top 3 favorite movies of all time, and it's just something that I have good memories with my dad, so that's one of the reasons why I watch it a lot. But yeah, number 3 is The Warriors.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I purposely watched that film just to understand why you liked it and such. And yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, it for its time, it's a good movie. If you're just getting into it and you're like watching it now, you're like, this probably didn't age well. But yeah, like I said, I love The Warriors. I love the whole theming. Honestly, if they made like a D&D version of The Warriors, I'd probably be into it too. So
I'll go to my number 3. Number 3. Um, this one's like more so like a day in particular. And it's basically Saturday morning cartoons as a kid, and just getting to watch those cartoons, like even though some of them haven't aged well, I can still watch either old shows like Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, that sort of thing, and just kind of really enjoy that again. Or even just like growing up, I still love having every Saturday morning. It's like either we have breakfast or like or just cereal or something, but it's watching anime or something, and it's just a kind of like a weird tradition now. It's just like we watch like Saturday morning cartoons, and um, that's it. And just that the when I was a kid, it was like the first thing you do, you get to wake up and watch like the Saturday morning cartoons that would come on, and that's like how you started your day. And so um it's just kind of like stuck with me still, and so I really enjoy it. But yeah, that is my number 3. Number 3.
Everyone should have a memory of Saturday morning cartoons. But unfortunately, they don't, because the kids nowadays don't have that. Not that Saturday morning cartoons don't exist, but they're all Netflix.
Oh,
They just throw on Netflix and watch whatever's on there. It's so disappointing.
oh.
All Coco Melon and shit.
Yeah, because it's like everything was done by a schedule, so it's like you couldn't just go back and repeat it. And like obviously DVR was a different thing in the future, but before then it's like if you missed it, that was it. Like so, yeah, everything was done by a schedule. You can't just I'm gonna watch it whenever I want to, and it's like nope, Saturday was the day, and it started at 9 a.m. essentially. So yeah,
Yeah. Not to be a grumpy old man shitting on kids nowadays, because our way also had its we had our detractors, our problems, obviously, because like you said, we missed an episode and then it was gone. That was it. It was over. And I got in trouble many times because of that fear of missing the episode, because I always wanted to sit there and watch Yu-Gi-Oh. But no, Gabe had to have a baseball game. Brother Gabe.
Brother Gabe.
okay.
Rachel had a soccer game, and I had to go because I couldn't stay home by myself. And I would cry and I'd be angry, and then I'd kick the car share, and then that would just not end well for me. It's all bad things. So yeah, probably better it's on Netflix now.
That's what I was
You
gonna
could
say.
just push pause.
pause or like walk away, turn off the TV, and then just get right back on. I'm in with you in that boat of the Saturday morning thing, because certain things you could watch the next week and it not skip a beat, like Power Rangers. There was the same thing over and over. Some bad guy came on, they defeated it. There was no connecting storyline except for like the 2 episodes where like they're fighting the Green Ranger, and then the Green Ranger becomes a good guy, and then he's like all of a sudden part of the freaking crew or whatever, and he turns into the White Ranger, and then he steals Kimberly away from Jason. Stupid Green Ranger. Anyways, other than that, like you could basically just jump into Power Rangers at any point in time. But like watching stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, freaking Digimon, any of those like super iconic cartoons, if you missed an episode or two and you just jumped right in, you're like, wait a minute, how did Ash get that badge? Or how did Yugi get this card? Or like, there's so much stuff that's happened, I don't understand. Or freaking Jackie Chan's Adventures, how did he get the monkey amulet? I don't get it. It just, there's just so much stuff. And as a kid who also missed a lot of Saturday morning cartoons, it was infuriating. It was infuriating. Just super upset.
That was like the biggest lie ever told by my parents, is like, don't worry, the show will come back on again. Oh no, that episode, once you missed it, it was gone. It never repeated itself. But I'm like, but you'd see repeats of older episodes, you've already seen them, and it's just like, where's the new episode? I've already seen this episode. Anyways, biggest lie ever told in my life.
In their head, they were correct, because the show did come back on. It just wasn't the episode that you wanted to see. So
yeah.
Oh, good times. Good times.
Was it good times?
No, it was horrible times. And I think I gave up on a lot of cartoons because of that reason, where they were just exclusive to Saturday, and then like I missed 1 or 2 weeks. I'm like, why am I still watching this? Because I have no clue what just happened in the previous 2 weeks. And so Dragon Ball was like that for me for a little bit, but that was on Toonami at late nights, so like we didn't really catch it at late nights. You just didn't catch it at all. But with, I don't know, it's just a rough spot in our cartoon history for us, in our age group, I should say.
Yeah.
Anyways,
on to I believe it's me.
It's me. I'm sorry.
It's my number 3. Come on, man.
I got flustered. I'm sorry.
It happens. It's rough going down memory lane. Number 3 for me is interesting, because I used to hate them. I hated them because Brother Gabe used to play them all the time, and it would annoy the crap out of me because I didn't want to play them. I wanted to play my other games. I wanted to play Ratchet and Clank. I wanted to play Jack and Dexter. But now they are absolutely my go-to comfort game. And it's 2 different games, but they hold similar statuses. It depends on what part of the year we're in. Those being NBA 2K and Madden. Those 2 games, even if I hate the game, even if the game is shit, I will play hours upon hours upon hours of that game. Because being a sports fan, there's nothing more frustrating than when your team sucks. And when your team sucks, you want to pretend like, I could have fixed that shit. I know exactly how to fix that shit. I would trade for this guy. I would go and play it this way. I would do this. I would do that. Well, you know what? You can do that. You go play Madden. You go play NBA 2K, because it makes you feel like you did something. You play as the Dolphins against the Patriots, and you destroy them, and you destroy Tom Brady. You're like, yeah, fucking Tom Brady, you fucking suck. And that is the only time you'll ever be able to accept that. And then you turn the game off, and you're like, okay, we're back to reality where Tom Brady's the greatest fucking dude. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Even the shittiest of Maddens, I'll end up getting over time, and I will play a franchise that lasts it's like 10 seasons into it, because it's relaxing to me, to be honest, because you get to control a whole team, you get to control everything that happens with them, I'm sure someone can do a psychological profile of how this is all about me needing control of my life, but whatever. It makes me feel good. And it's my number 3.
Nice.
That's a good choice. I appreciate that choice. I appreciate it so much that I wish we could just restart the football season right now.
Oh, it's rough. It's rough. I'm in pain.
Well, I mean, just so if you guys haven't kept up with football, first of all, I don't understand how, but Taylor's playing fantasy football with us. He doesn't even like football. He thinks we're playing soccer at this point. But but he's in the lead in our fantasy league. Also, my team is 0-2. If you didn't know who my team is, it's the Falcons. They're a disgrace to what the shell of the form that they used to be. I swear they used to be like a super shredder, and now they're more of like, hey, I'm just the ooze now at this point, And then Albert's QB.
See, yeah, at the very least, you came into the season with like the lowest of expectations, and they didn't even meet those. With me, Miami came in looking like a playoff contender, and now they got fucking destroyed by Buffalo. Tua's out, going against the Raiders team that's honestly doing pretty well right now. And I just feel like everything is falling apart. The world is coming to pieces. It hurts having expectations because they most likely won't meet them.
Welcome to being a Falcons fan.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've been I was born in 94. Okay. I saw, if I was a baby and ever got to see football, I saw Dan Marino for the slightest bit of my life. And that was the last time Miami was good. So I've never seen my football team be good.
See, then you should always have low expectations. I've had to go through the Michael Vick thing, then Matt Ryan came, and then we went to the Super Bowl, and then now we're just one big joke to the NFL, memes on top of memes. So it is what it is.
It's painful. Taylor, I don't know why we dragged you into football. You shouldn't be here. It's painful.
Good times, right? Ha ha ha. Go Falcons. Anyways, going on to my number 2, sticking with Albert's theme of video games, which this has recently become my comfort thing because I think before this trip, I was having problems sleeping because, the boy would stay awake as well. But we usually do this pretty much every night. We've been doing it since God knows how long now, and even sucked Taylor into doing it. And that's playing Call of Duty Warzone, specifically Resurgence. We don't mess with that long-term no gain BS because I come to realize I do not like that mode anymore. It was fun when it first started, but dropping in the battle royale theme and then just getting wiped out completely in the very first, and then just watching your friend trying to drive around with the the contract activated on him to try to bring you back. It's not worth it. When you play Rebirth Resurgence, you just have to last so many seconds and then you're right back in the game, and then you just need a squad wipe, and it's just such a fast-paced adventure. I don't know. It's a fun time that I have with you two and Brother Gabe. And I don't know. It's just awesome. We play with each other, like I said, pretty much every night. Sometimes when Taylor's not with us, we'll end up subbing in Cornejo. Shout outs to Cornejo, who's giving me the biggest lie that he was this Warzone god. Now he's more, a puny.
He's not great. Not at
all. But yeah, like I said, we play pretty much every night. Call of Duty, Warzone, specifically Resurgence, and I love every part of it. Even it's become so obsessive. It's so dumb because like we're like trying to keep up with like, hey, what's the meta gun to use? Oh, did they nerf the Krieg? You damn right they nerfed the Krieg, so you got to find a new gun to use. What they buffed the Mac 10? Let's start using that. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. it's so childish because it's a damn game, but I don't know. I've dumped money in that game just for the stupid ass skins, and it's worth it because I think of the actual amount of time that I've actually played the game, was worth the money that I put into it. So that's my number 2, Modern Warfare Warzone.
You know, I was going to put it on my list, but I thought about what comfort entertainment means. And if we were doing this list after like back-to-back wins last night, I'd be like, yeah, it's my comfort entertainment. But we are on a shit streak right now. So it's not comforting at all. It's like saying watching the Dolphins is comforting. It's not comforting at all right now. I feel bad.
Well, I mean, the best part is, I'm notorious for just dropping in and breaking my legs, and then like, hey, someone pick me up.
It's not about the wins, it's about the journey to it. Right?
Right.
No, it's angering.
Oh.
My number 2.
Number 2, Taylor.
Yeah.
He's going number 2. Number 2.
This is a show like you could just put it on the background and it has such like great replay value. It's going to be The Office. I don't know. The jokes are so funny and it's so well written, and the way the characters interact with each other, it's hilarious. And I'm always laughing at certain scenes, and it doesn't get old to me. And it's just like really nice. Something great too. Like I could still be on my phone and just have it listening in the background and just completely zoning out. So that is my number 2, The Office.
Taylor, you're flying up high, like up in the sky, and then you swooped down and took my number 2.
Crossover.
Yeah, The Office is my number 2. Used to be my number 1, but then they took it off of Netflix, and I don't want to watch commercials on the Peacock. That sounds terrible. But absolutely, The Office is such a great comfort show to just throw on, even just in the background. Honestly, I've had like gatherings at my house, and I was like, we need some kind of noise in the background. Throw The Office on the TV. Just throw it on there. And some people would just be sitting there watching The Office while the rest of us are talking. They're doing some other shit. It's just, it's very comforting to have there. It's almost something that you could just let sit in the background and not pay zero attention to, and then watch for like 5 minutes and laugh and have a good time. It's great. And it was something that honestly I would put on the TV as I'm trying to get myself to fall asleep. And luckily, when it was on Netflix, it would stop after 3 episodes, and then the TV would turn off after a little bit. But now, on the Peacock, it sucks, and I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm sorry, Office. You would have been number 1, but now you're just number 2 because you're shit. You see what I did there?
Well, Taylor, see what you did here is you started up here, and then you dived in and took Albert's number 2. While Albert was right here looking at me and diving in and took my number 1, which is The Office. I'm pretty sure, I don't know. I knew we were going to have it all somewhere on the top. The Office is still one of my favorite shows of all time. I know I'll probably get a lot of crap for this, but I even enjoy the later episodes where Steve Carell actually leaves, and it does a little bit more character development. I think you kind of have to appreciate what they tried to do without him, or how long they did survive without him, and start taking the characters as their own. Like if at any point in time, it's like wrestling, if you start developing feelings for something like, oh, this is making me mad because they do this, I think that's what they tried to do. Like they tried to make you hate Andy at one point in time, and then guess what? You fell in love with him again at the very end of the damn last season.
I didn't. I still hated him.
Even that last line that he said, he's like, wouldn't you wish someone told you you were in the good times when you were actually in the good time, or some shit like that? Like that hit me. I'm like, damn.
That always hits hard, and it makes me sad that Andy said it. Could have been anybody else to say it. It could have been Stanley. If Stanley said it, man, it would be iconic. But Andy said it.
Yeah, not a fan of Andy, the character.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I always watch it, and I always watch it through. I know a lot of people stop right after Steve Carell leaves. But like I said, I always watch it through, and it makes me appreciate it. I feel like The Office is also one of those things where, like, not only to play in like the background, but like when you watch it again, you catch certain things that were like said that you didn't know happened the first time you watched it, or even the second time you watch it, and you're like, damn, that was really funny. And I don't know why I'm still laughing hysterically at this for the 18th time of watching this episode. There's little quirks and little quibs and whatnot. It's just The Office will always be my go-to. We still play it off of the Peacock. I think we have Peacock Premium, so it's not as bad with the commercials. I don't think we have commercials. But the one thing that does irritate me is like after a couple shows, it just immediately stops and I have to click back onto it to play again. But other than that, yeah, Office, I think it's hard for me to bump The Office off of number one. It's definitely a go-to, especially if like the kids need to do something or whatever. The kids enjoy watching The Office. The damn kids will be like, "Dad, you watching Michael Scott?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love Michael Scott. He's hilarious." Huh? He's like, "Ha ha ha ha." That's what she said. you know, like how many stupid little lines do you guys remember from The Office that we use? Like, I almost want to say like on a daily basis. Okay,
Easily on a daily basis.
Easily.
If people run into me, they had better have watched The Office. Otherwise, they won't understand half the things that I say. It'll just be weird.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Brother Gabe.
Brother Gabe.
Brother Gabe.
For instance, he always uses that line. He goes, I'm like, "Hey, we're about to drop here in Warzone, yuppers." And then I always say, "What did I tell you about yuppers?" Yes. Like if you didn't get that line, I'm sorry. Like you missed it. That's those tiny lines that like you say back and forth to your friends, and like who's a person who watched The Office and who doesn't. Because when you say that stuff to each other, you're like, I'm glad he got it. That shit was hilarious. And I think that's why Office will be my number one. And I'm actually intrigued to see what your guys' number one is.
Fair.
Well, Albert was flying around here, and then he just swooped up and took my number one with his number 3, which is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I absolutely love that show, and it like I watched it as a kid, and then when they were able to put it back onto Netflix or put it on Netflix, not back onto there, but anyways, it's still so good. It's held up to the time. The stories are really well written. The character development is phenomenal, and like Zuko's redemption arc is really great, and it's just like Uncle Iroh and the toy soldier story. Anyways, yeah, it's just so good, and I love all the characters. It's funny, and it's like a very comforting show, and you can like learn from it. And someday when I have kids, like I definitely want them to watch that show. So, but that is my number one, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
It's a quality choice there, sir. I would probably put that on my list.
Would you?
Very good. Very good. Well, hopping over to my number one. I knew neither of you would have it on your list. When The Office left, it made me sad. I like how we just say when The Office left. It's not like it's gone forever. It's just on the Peacock. So it's basically gone forever. I needed, because I'm someone who I like to have noise in the background when I'm going to bed. So what I usually do is I put a show on. I put a TV show on, and for the longest time it was The Office. And then it was gone, and everything changed when The Office left. So I needed to find a new one, and there was actually a show that I was watching at the time. I had given it a try. The first, I think, 4 seasons were on Netflix at the time, and I was watching it by myself. Nobody watched it with me. No one really knew what it was for the longest time, but I loved it. and now it's very well known. And that show is Schitt's Creek. I absolutely love that show, and it's become my new comfort show in that I can just throw it on in the background and let it go, and I can just hearing the different things going on, hearing the different gags, hearing the different jokes, but there's something a bit more to it than what The Office has, and that's some of the emotion that goes into it, because there will be moments where obviously I'll stop to look because a funny joke's about to come on, which I do all the time with The Office. But the other bits are the moments where I look because I'm like, this one always makes me feel good. This one always kind of brings a tear to my eye. This one always brings a smile to my face. It's those small emotional moments, because Schitt's Creek honestly is just one of those shows that it's very like The Office can be sometimes a bit like cynical, and it's very dry humor, and it can be kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're making fun of people pretty much. Where Schitt's Creek is a type of show where the majority of it is honestly you're celebrating the quirkiness and weirdness of people, and it makes you feel good because it makes you feel like you are one of these quirky, weird people, and you would love to be a part of this because it's just everyone's a community, everyone's happy. It's become my new number one, and it may get replaced. Who knows? Seinfeld's coming to Netflix. That might become my new comfort show. We'll see. But for right now, it's Schitt's Creek. It's the thing that I always put on. If I don't know what else to put on TV, I throw that on. That's my number one.
David.
Albert,
Yes.
just saying a lot.
No, I know. So that's our top 5 list. Hope you enjoyed that. Feel free to hop onto our Facebook page to let us know some of your comfort entertainment. Even dive into music if you want, because even though we didn't get the chance to really talk about it on here, we'd love to have that conversation with you. Talk about some of the songs that are your go-to songs that make you feel good, maybe that pump you up, whatever it is. Give us your comfort music, give us your comfort entertainment. We want to know. We'd love to talk about it with you. And so moving on to everyone's favorite segment. It always is. Everybody knows this. Well, we took a poll amongst the hosts and we said it was this segment. Taylor, how big is it? And so today our topic was widely talking about GenCon between the two of you. And so I wanted to bring in a GenCon question into here, because you should very much know, since you were there, you should know everything about GenCon.
I hope so.
For instance, the capacity that they had, they didn't have it at this capacity. This was the amount of attendance. It was at about 50% of the attendance of what 2019 was, the last time it was like a regular GenCon, which was about 35,000 people attended GenCon. Pretty good numbers, to be honest. But a very important thing that came out, because Indianapolis does this for a reason. It's not out of the kindness out of their hearts. It's because they want money. The number came out of how much revenue came from GenCon folks to local businesses, to hotels, to all the such. Taylor, how much revenue did GenCon bring to the city of Indianapolis in 2021? Was it 23 million, 37 million, 46 million, or 61 million?
What was the 41 again?
46 million.
We'll do 46 million.
That, sir, is incorrect. Yeah, I got one on him. The correct answer is $37 million of revenue was brought to the city of Indianapolis and local businesses and hotels in the such of Indianapolis. Great thing that GenCon was able to do. For the folks that want to do math, obviously this isn't actually accurate because it doesn't take into consideration the folks who were running GenCon. But for if 35,000 people attended and it generated $37 million of revenue, that would mean that per guest was about $1,000 worth of dough tossed down. So if you're considering how much money you spent on GenCon, know that it was about $1,000 a person between everything that they did. So feel good about yourself if you didn't hit that number, and feel bad about yourself if you're like at 5,000 or something like that.
That's a crazy stat, especially I don't know if that takes an account for like what the vendors brought home, like from you actually buying from them. I know maybe they still do the tax, like the Indianapolis tax or whatever, whatnot, but yeah, that's a crazy stat to know that that many people brought that much money in. It only makes you wonder like what they do when like the convention's at a full capacity.
It's a very good question. And I guess we'll find out now, won't we?
Winky, winky, stinky, pinky.
Well, that is all of these topics we had to discuss today. Do we have any shout outs, gentlemen?
Nope. No one loves us.
Well, that's not true. We still have Mr. Alex A, who is our still the same Patreon user. Still shout out him because he's still hanging in there strong with his donation to us every month, which I didn't know we were still getting because we had a kind of like a hiccup in our system from our systems manager.
I'm sorry.
And then we actually did get another donation from Angie. We really appreciate her, and she's to be dead honest with you, I'm gonna flat out say she's probably like one of our favorite fans because she always interacts with us, whether it's on the Facebook page or donations or asking us questions, or it's the little things. Questions are hard to come up with sometimes, okay? And then that's why I don't want to say we depend on you fans, but like, what do you want to know? We'll help you out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. We're only so creative. Like between the three of us, like there's only so much creativity that we got. We want you guys to help make this so much easier of a job because we don't want to do that much work. But also we want to talk about stuff we know you want to hear about. We don't want to talk about the same stuff all over again. We don't want to talk about Tesla every show. We will if we have to. But give us something else to talk about. Ask us questions. We love that. We love bringing those up inside of our shows, being able to interact with y'all. So please be more than willing to talk to us. If you see us out on the street, even if we're deep in conversation, feel free to bother us and ask us a question because we love interacting with our fans. And we wouldn't want to make it seem like you can't talk to us just because we're doing something else. Right, David?
Yeah. Also, if you don't know who we are and you're in the greater city of Sacramento, California, watch for these three guys. They're the only three guys that have this shirt. That's the Striler Polar Opinion Podcast on the front. And there's a QR code on the back. You scan it, and it takes you places. Wondrous places.
All things considered, if you're already watching to our podcast or listening to our podcast, I don't say why do I say watching, because you can if you're a Patreon. But if you're already listening, you probably know where that QR code is taking you. But if you don't listen, you're not going to hear what I'm about to say, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, thank you all for listening, and be sure to interact with us on Facebook. Feel free to give us a like and share on whatever we post on there. We try to keep you updated on the latest of entertainment, at least that we notice. I know we don't do everything because we don't see everything. We're busy people. We do a lot of things, but we do want to keep you updated on the latest of entertainment. We try and post that stuff on our Facebook, so be sure to check that out so you can stay updated on what craziness is going on. And, hopefully you keep listening to us. Maybe we can do another giveaway. Get some bucks.
Some bucks.
Get some bucks.
They want the bucks. Not Starbucks either. Jesus Christ.
The Milwaukee Bucks.
Freaking, by the way, don't go to GenCon with Taylor. He has an addiction to Starbucks. He has to have it every morning. It's the worst thing ever. Just standing in this line of 18,000 people just waiting for Starbucks.
Oh God.
So
That's
all
like
for-
part of Gen Con, though, is the
Nope.
ride of standing
Nope.
in line for
Is Starbucks?
Starbucks.
all this for a vanilla latte.
Yeah.
Literally,
Hot.
there's
Hot
14
vanilla
other
latte.
coffee places in Gen Con.
I didn't see any of them.
You're a damn liar. Oh my God. You son of a. Oh God. Anyways,
You've been watching.
Anyways,
You've been
Thank you all.
listening.
they could watch too
Yep.
if they want. They just have to pay us. I mean, support us. Anyway, thank you all for joining us in this episode. Be sure to tune in for our next episode. Someone else will be hosting. It won't be me. Hopefully, anyway. I can only do this so often. I get tired a lot.
you should watch
Thank you
Heavyweights
all.
to inspire you then.
You're right. Ben Stiller always inspires me every time. Thank you all, folks. And bye, y'all. I'm Albert Delgado. You Taylor. It's you.
And
You say bye.
I'm Taylor Hardy. Have
There
a
you
great
go.
evening.
Oh God. Anyways, I'm David/DJ/Spork and Bulldog Maggard and TPO. Come out
Diabetic
and
coma.
play. Yay.
I like that. That's a good reference. Well done. Bye.
Bye.